Okay. Ooh, why are there multiple states? So this is another thing that's interesting. These are things that happen because we're doing a real-time consensus system that you just don't have in any existing software because you don't do real-time consensus systems. I told you you have to write two classes in Java, one for main and one for state. But you don't instantiate them. The platform instantiates them. And in fact, the platform's going to go crazy and instantiate several copies of your state. Here's what's going to happen. You know, we want to have the user seeing the effect of all the transactions in whatever order we receive them right away. You want to see that. If you're playing a game, you want to see that right away. If you have a session logout and somebody says, you know, if the IDP sends out a signed message saying, I'm the IDP that created this session, it is compromised. Please log them out right now. Well, you want to know that right away. You don't care about trivia like where does that fit into history. You want to log them out right away. So you want to know about transactions immediately. You don't want to wait. So what happens is when new transactions come in, they are sent to the state immediately. These transactions may not be in the consensus order. Someday, the community may decide, oh, yeah, those transactions should have been in a different order, and there's this new transaction should have been stuck in the middle there. Someday, it may change. But for the moment, the platform is just going to send the transactions to the state in the order it gets them. And the state will continually be updating its internal state to reflect that order. Now, in parallel, at some point, the platform's going to say, you know what? As a community, we've reached a consensus. The transactions should have been in a different order. So here's what I'm going to do. I create a different state over here. I instantiate a new state, and I feed it those transactions in the correct order. And that may take a while, but it happens in the background. And eventually, this new state catches up with the present. So now the new state and the old state both have seen all the transactions. But one of them has seen it in an order that is more accurate than the other. Then the platform says, OK, I now declare that this is the official state, and this one I'm just going to throw away. So when the main talks to the state to get the data, frequently the main calls an API call that says, hey, could you give me a reference to the current state? So whenever I'm going to talk to the state, I'm first going to ask the platform, give me a reference to the current state. Give me a pointer to the current state. And that way, when this newer state that is new and shiny and has the transactions in a better order is finally created, it'll just get swapped in. And the next time I access the state, I'll be accessing the new one instead of the old one. Very straightforward. And so we would need two different states, the current one and then the one that the platform is building up. Now, of course, I just described that as sending an infinite number of states into transactions into this guy. We can do further things where we take all the transactions that have a consensus, feed them in to a state object and get that consensus state, and then we make a copy of it and hold that aside and add more stuff. And then later, we only have to start from a copy of that consensus and add in just the last few transactions. Yes?